Camera quality, picture quality is challenging here. I don't care. It is what it is. I don't care. So this was a live that took me, sorry. This was a live that took me a while to come up and do and figure out because this live is part two of the live that I did last night, which is, and I was gonna call it, the one I did last night was called Cut Your Handler Off. And so this one is learning how to pray. So, let me just try to fix this so you guys can see me as best as possible. Yeah, so this one is learning how to pray. Now, originally, I was like, look, I don't feel like anybody, and this is what I was saying to myself. I'm like, I don't feel like anybody needs me to like know how to pray. But being that I'm going through this situation here myself, and I know the feelings that I'm going through, and I would say I'm quite a ways into my situation. So my situation is quite mature. Um, I still have moments, and obviously I would. Like this is a pretty serious situation. I still have moments where I feel discouraged, or I don't know if discouraged is the word that I want to use. I wouldn't say discouraged. It's not like hopeless or anything like that. I'm like way too deep into the situation to feel that way. But how would I describe it? Moments of irritation, moments of annoyance, deep annoyance, as far as the situation goes. And I think to my, it's so crazy because whenever there's a moment, I don't consider myself like a reader. I don't consider myself like a lot of these things. So whenever there's a moment where I feel I feel like I can definitely speak to things like technical details about being gang stalked. That's not an issue for me. I think where the issues sort of, not, it's not an issue, but where the apprehension comes from is speaking to people about spirituality or things I feel like I know are going to happen. And I think that's pretty much because I feel like people don't listen to me, and they don't listen to me either way. So it's like there's so many times I want to be giving people advice. Like I want to say to someone, and I have in the past. All kinds of situations have happened, and I want to give people advice. I feel things, I sense things. And I feel like people don't take my advice one way or the other. I feel like people don't, I don't know. I'll see people talk to evil people, people that I can see for a fact are dead evil. And they'll be like, yeah, that makes sense to that person. I'll come and blatantly give good advice, and they'll be like, no, I don't think I should save money. I don't think I should eat right. I don't think I should. And it's like, you know what? I don't do what you do. It is what it is. The second thing, too, is I tend to assume that people have common sense. And what I mean by common sense is I tend to just assume that, like, people know that they're supposed to be eating well. People know that they're supposed to be taking care of themselves. People know that something might be off about their situation, whatever the case is. I feel like people should know that. So I tend to leave it alone. Now, I have to kind of look at my own situation in my life and just kind of realize like it took a while for me to be walked into the direction that I'm in. This wasn't, I know for a fact that with everything that I've gone through in my life, in order to be prepared for the journey I'm on right now, this took years, like a lot of years, for a lot of this knowledge to be relevant to me and this knowledge to be the type of knowledge that I can accept. Because there are parts of your journey that really need you to believe in something outside of yourself. So I'm going to get into the prayer thing in a minute, but I want to discuss something called spiritual spouses. I found out, the first time I found out about spiritual spouses was from Nigerians. I used to like have this obsession with Nigerian music. And I still do. I love Nigerian music, to be honest. I think they have some of the most romantic music for people who have a culture of being very money centric in their relationships. See how I worded that? Um anyway, so spiritual spouses, it's basically where someone spiritually marries someone else. This person may have never met you. They could be somebody of the same sex. It doesn't have to be even like you can be totally straight. You could be a man and another man spiritually marries himself to you. And the sentiment always with Nigerians was that like you do not want a spiritual spouse. So they used to call it like spiritual husbands, right? Even though it's like spiritual wife, whatever. Like, take it how it could place in your situation. People used to constantly be like, you don't want a spiritual. I'm gonna speak about it from my perspective as a woman. People used to be like, yeah, you don't want a spiritual husband. And there were people who they were like, they would joke that they have a spiritual husband that's blocking everything in their life. So they'd be like, my spiritual husband is blocking my love life. And they'd even make movies about it. So, like, in the movie, you'd see that somebody would try to get into a relationship with a new person and the spiritual husband would block it. Like, you couldn't get into that relationship. The relationship wouldn't work, it wouldn't flourish. You couldn't, they would block all kinds of things. They could block your money, they would siphon like money out of you, they would siphon, like they would play on your business, they would do all of this stuff. So there was always this thing where it's like nobody wants a spiritual husband or a spiritual spouse because this is somebody who marries themselves to you, and it's never for a good reason. It's like, even if they love you, like that's passing someone's place. Like, technically that's something that God does for you. Like, God chooses your spouse and then God puts you in a position to find love in that way. A lot of the stuff that I talk about is definitely going to come from the perspective of what I'm going through. And I know that there are a variety of reasons as to why people get gang stalked, but mine is coming from a space where it's with the cartel. So I can only tell it from people wanting me to be a drug mule. So, take it as it resonates for your situation. I'm not saying guaranteed this happens in other people's situation, but I do know that gang stalkers use spell work. So, say you're in a situation where you now have a spiritual spouse, and your spiritual spouse is somebody who is a witch. I think most of them are, to be honest with you. Or maybe someone would pay a witch or pay a practitioner to marry you to them, so that you don't leave, so that you can never get away from them, so that they're binded to you, so that they can take from you, they can use you, etc. They can manipulate you, they can have a hold on you. Because one of the things that happens in a spiritual spouse relationship is this person has a sort of special tie to you. This is what John Ferrer did to me, from himself to me, so that he can access my energy, so that he can use my energy, so that he can manifest on my energy. These sort of people, part of the reason that they need access to your home, and they always try to get access to a person's home. So I've heard other gang stalkers say that things get moved around in your house. It's not that things are getting moved around in your house, it's that they're taking things. They're taking things. So they're always going to look for things with some sort of DNA on it. So it can literally be like I've said in the past, it could be sanitary products. It's whatever out of your bathroom garbage that they can get. It can be toothbrushes, it can be strands of hair, it can be all kinds of things. And they take these things for a multitude of reasons. They put them in like voodoo dolls, and then they use the voodoo dolls and they send work towards you on your physical body, make you sick, make you react in certain ways, kind of puppet you in a lot of ways, antagonize you. They use these materials and they get access to your energy. And I literally mean, like, I'm not even talking about people like just astral projecting into your home. I'm talking about your actual energy, like disturb you in your energy. It's harassing. These people will manifest against you by using sexual energy. So either they're having sex, and when they're coming to ejaculation, they manifest something negative against you, or they, self pleasure, and they're in their head manifesting against you, visualizing, like putting that energy out there. When they take pieces of clothing, they take pictures, they have your date of birth, your full name, your details, and they use that information to do work on you, basically to look into your future, to look at your birth chart. They take it very, very far. Like when I say they study you, it's not just like they study your patterns and your movements and they connect it to your birth chart. Now, if you're one of those people who, like, some people behave like their birth chart. So if the birth chart says something, I think a majority of people do. Some people are unpredictable, like their birth chart says they're unpredictable. So some people are a little harder to kind of pinpoint. I think in my situation, not I think, I know. And I could tell very early on where they were studying me. Like they wanted to know, and I'm talking about very early on, they wanted to know things like, is she gonna know? Let's send somebody and let's see if she's gonna know that person is whatever. Let's send somebody to her and let's do this and let's see if she's gonna pick up on it. So there's been a lot of like trial and error that they've gone through. There have been a lot of things that they've done. And to be honest with you, the thing about it is, I don't know, sometimes I think they give me a lot of credit and they give themselves a lot of credit because these things are see-through. All you need to do, all you need to do is just be quiet and let people talk. I've been testing myself too. I'm like, okay, let me see if somebody comes up to me and if for no reason. But they're see-through. They're see-through. It just boils down to people not being very bright. In order for this to work, they need to put spell work on you, first of all. They need to attach entities onto you, second of all. They need to fully gain control, and then it's gonna work. They know that. If they go up to a random person and try half the nonsense that they try now, it will not work. That doesn't make the person that it's not working on psychic. Maybe the person's psychic, maybe the person's not psychic, but it's not smart stuff. It's not like, listen, the stuff that they're putting together now they're trying. Now they're taking time and they're giving people keywords to use. And it's kind of like when you post something on Instagram and you look for relevant hashtags that are relevant to the thing that you're posting. They spent a year and a half, wasted money, and they assumed I was stupid. I don't mean that they assumed I was of average intelligence. They assumed I was stupid. They assumed I was the one who had low IQ. Now, that's the thing about when you're dealing with a narcissist or a narcissist is leading things. Everybody has blind spots. No matter who we are, we're all human. Everybody has blind spots. Some of us work on our blind spots because we realize what they are, and some of us don't know we have blind spots. For example, readers. The majority of readers know that they have insight. They have a third eye. So because they have a third eye, it's very difficult to give readers like advice because readers feel like, you can't tell me, I would tell you. I've watched reader after reader get conned, get knocked down, get blocked out, lose their gifts blatantly, but had somebody given them that advice and said, hey, look, you got to do something else. You got to look at it from a different angle. You got to try something else. They wouldn't take that advice because they would feel very cocky, like, how can you tell me? Now, it's not to say that you as a reader do not have eyes, but you can see other people. You can't see your situation the same way that other people can see it. Everybody has different gifts. And people tend to especially spiritual people, practitioners, witch doctors, they tend to exalt spirituality and not give credit for things like common sense or basic gut feelings, things that anybody can have. So these people looked at me and it was arrogance. In literature, we call it hubris. Hubris precedeth the fall. Hubris, which is pride, precedeth every fall. So people were very proud because people have spell work, they have a track record, they've been doing this so long, they've gotten away with it, they're above the law, they have every foreseeable advantage that a person could think about. And I'm just one person, and they don't believe in God. And the beliefs I have, they've never heard about this stuff before. They don't know. It is what it is. They really don't know what I'm talking about. So they don't know what a divine feminine is. They don't know what that is. So they don't know what any of this shit is. They could pretend all they want. If they knew what it is, they wouldn't even start in this mess. They wouldn't have started it. But again, it is pride. And it's also when you look at spirit world with not much respect and you feel like the spirit world is at your mercy because you feel that with your tongue you command. And as if spirits are not independent in the way they behave. So it's very transactional relationships. 1 + 1 = 2, and then that's what's going to happen. And when you look at things from that perspective and you don't honor things like spiritual rank, and you don't understand that how spiritual rank works exactly. So you're running around here and you feel like you could just Google things, or you could just learn things from other practitioners, or people can just tell you things and guaranteed it's going to work. And so you tend to just go deeper and deeper into things that you probably should leave alone. There are multiple types of people, but here's the thing. There are people who have to do magic, like they have to learn magic, and there are people who are magical, meaning that they are like made of magic. Just follow along with me, regardless of what you believe. It's how you learn. There are people who have to do magic. They have to learn magic. Anybody can do that. And then there are people who are magical. You know magical people when you meet them. You know that. They don't even know they're magical. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they're still trying to figure it out. Like, how did I do that? How does this work? Because that person is magic, magic doesn't work on that person. That person naturally counteracts magic by themselves. Their body, like, it's like it absorbs it and then it does the best case scenario with it. There's a lot of scenarios where magic is thrown at you and something can happen. So for example, magic can be thrown at you and you can repel it. Magic can be thrown at you and you can absorb it and use it to your benefit. Magic can be thrown at you and you can do something else with it and then send it back. Like there's so many scenarios for how things will work. Like there's some people, just by them being mad at you, shit happens to you and they didn't wish anything on you, but just by them being upset, things happen. And then there are people who have to go home, cast an intention, do some work, Google something, mix something, put something in a jar, put something in a freezer, do something else. They have to constantly learn. But that creates a quagmire. That creates a chain of events because everything, it has a ripple effect. And the energy it's generated, but it doesn't disintegrate. It doesn't just like get neutralized. Something has to happen to it. So you have people that have learned now that, well, if I'm with an entity, or if I let an entity ride me, then I can inherit the gifts of that entity, or certain entities can grant me certain gifts because we've made some sort of partnership to get something done, type of thing. There's some sort of agreement. And so when you're walking around, when you're walking around in that sort of cloak, you tend to think that you're stronger than you are until it gets removed off of your back. Until it's like a slug that's sucked onto you. And if it gets removed off of your back, everything that it sucked off of you, you're left as like a shell of yourself, and you collapse. And now you like wake up, and now you have to deal with the consequences of all the energy that you've generated, because it just stays there. Like, you're in that energy. These entities, there's specific roles that they play. And I don't know, maybe they're protecting people while they're with people, but their role is not for protection. That's not, I like to like describe entities as like computer programs. If there's an energy you have on you, or an entity of jealousy, that's its role. Entities do not come around to give. As much as people make these deals, like, not the first person making a deal, you won't be the last one making the deal. Entities don't come to give. They're just programmed for whatever they're programmed for. Like, it's a hard concept for people to want to accept. They're there to take. And whatever deal you make with them, it's not worth it. It never is. This is like a story as old as time itself. It's not. If an energy is of jealousy, it just needs a host, and it feeds off of the jealousy. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter, like I described the video game, if we're going to be in a forest, if we're going to be by a waterfall, if wherever we're going to be, it's just the setting. Whatever the promises that you make to it, whatever you say you're going to give it, it's just the setting. What it needs is your jealousy. It feeds off of that. When it's done and there's nothing left to take, it leaves. That's it. When have you known the spirit of jealousy to be able to give you anything? Be logical and think about it. When has the energy of jealousy been able to give a house, to give a car, to give anything? Even if you happen upon that thing now, it is not yours to keep. It's a mirage. The tarot cards really accurately describe all of that stuff. And not just the tarot cards are just like a tool of communication, but it's like, I shouldn't say it should be known, because nothing should be known, but the spirit of obsession, the spirit of gluttony, the spirit of hatred. The entity that you say, it has a name. And because it's an entity, it may have sort of, it seems like it has like a conscious desire, or a consciousness to it, like it's a conscious entity. But everything that it has and everything that it gives is towards the same end, which is receiving from the host the energy that it needs. When you put yourself in a situation where you have these entities that are riding you, and you're embodying the energy that it's feeding on, you should be very careful not to convince yourself that you're going to get something out of it. You're never going to get anything out of it, and definitely not what you think that you should be getting, or whatever. I don't know. I've to be honest, I guess I assumed everybody kind of figured that out, that this is not how it works. So I made a video the other day, and the video was about giving in relationships without anticipating getting anything back is truly the way that you're supposed to live life. And this is the way that life flows freely for you. And someone commented and said, well, oh, if nobody agrees with you. And I just thought, what the hell is there to agree with? See, and that's the other thing too. I guess I have to continue to understand that these things are not common sense. These things are not necessarily things that like everybody just wakes up knowing. But it goes back to why I don't bother giving anybody advice, or I don't bother saying anything, which was one of the reasons sometimes I'm just like, what am I even doing on here? I don't know if I'm helping people. I don't know if people are actually like taking any of this advice, if they're actually like, if they're using it to their benefit. The gang stalkers are definitely having a field day with it. They're definitely feeling like they know me much better, like they're getting some insight, like, but for people that actually need it, that would put it to good use. I don't know. I don't really know. I guess I'll put it out there, and God wants me to do it. So there must be some benefit. Actually, to be honest, God shows me a lot of times like why I'm doing it. So I shouldn't say that. But these people really just, they assumed that I was slow. And I don't know. It's like, it definitely is a thing where a person must have just had preconceived notions based on demographics, based on age, gender, based on definitely race, based on perhaps the way my business came up. I think people thought that I just got through life with sheer luck. And then when they tried to take my luck away, then they said it was witchcraft. They came in my home, so they knew for a fact I wasn't doing witchcraft for sure. That's why they try to tap into my energy all the time. They try to see what's going on. Still very confused because all I do is pray. All I do is pray. There are people who just don't believe in the power of prayer. And, for me, I get confused too, because I see people who have been caught up in the web of gang stalking, and I'm like, wait, didn't such and such say they were a Christian? Now, I tend to think that when somebody says they're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, like my neighbors buy Muslim books and toys for their children, and they're darker than dark. What are you teaching this little boy anything about Islam for? And I think Islam is one of the most beautiful religions, being very honest. I love the Quran and I love the way it's written. But what are they teaching this little boy about Islam, and he's a baby gang stalker? And he's a little baby demon. He's a karmic child. They're not even married. What are they teaching this child? I don't like, this is the kind of stuff, it's like cut it out and just be yourself. Like full on doing the whole thing, and you guys are living in sin. You people aren't even married legally. So it's like, I don't know. I guess maybe from that perspective, I can understand why people didn't think prayer was real. Maybe they saw the same people that were stealing, hurting people, destroying, breaking every covenant that God could make with man, turn around and pray, and maybe they were like, this prayer thing is a joke. That's fake. I can get, if that's the explanation, I could get behind that. I could understand that. Because I really take people at face value. Like if somebody says they pray, I'll be like, oh yeah, me too, I pray. And I'll assume you pray. And then I'll see you do something else and I'll be like, wild, very wild. Like, but it's not my place. It's not, but I can see why people would, these people just didn't take that religious thing that I was talking about seriously. And it is what it is. The other thing is, you can only really understand people from your perspective, right? So from your life experiences and whatnot. You have to really sit in someone's shoes to understand what it's like to be them. That man came in my energy, sat in my shoes, and then didn't want to be himself anymore. He was like, yeah, I don't, divorced himself, threw his life away, thought it didn't matter what he did to his life because he wouldn't have to live it. And just wanted to sit in my energy and ride my energy forever. And that's odd, to be disrespectful of a person at the same time as desperately wanting to be them. It's a psychosis. It's mental health issue. It's not just audacity. Audacity was like 10 miles back. It's needing help. But this is where the narcissism isn't of itself a blind spot. Narcissism backs a person so far into a corner that they're not able to see reality. They're not able to see things for what they are. And I think sometimes it's like somebody has made a decision that they will be damned if they ever admit, and this is not the first time I've incurred this energy in other people. I've gone to jobs where didn't matter what I did, what I sold, how much money I made, they would rather compete to prove in their mind that I'm not who not that I've even said that I am anything. They study me, and the more that they look at me, the more obsessed that they become. And it's a trap. It is such a trap to look at anybody and become hyper focused on that person, because you're losing sight of developing yourself, developing your gifts, taking care of the things that you need to take care of, taking care of, like, again, your blind spots. Once you get into situations of pride and ego and all of that, like, there are people who listen to me to disagree with me, to disparage what I'm saying, to say that I'm wrong, and to say that I don't know what I'm saying, even though the evidence is showing something completely contrary to what is going on in their ego. I'm not going to say their head. It's not a lot going on in their head. They're not using their head. A person who wants to call themselves a grandmaster at anything, or a master in general, knows that they must divorce their ego and they must take a look at what their strengths are. You watch my videos, and I'll tell you, I'll always give a person credit, whether I like them or not, because I'm always learning something, and I'm always learning something from, and this is the thing about lessons. Lessons do not, everything is a teacher. Like, I'll bake and I'll connect it to something in life. I'll plant and I connect it to something in life. I love kids because kids will teach you about life. Everything is a teacher. Everything can teach you something. People tend to think that if something teaches you something, then now we got to start measuring our private parts, which one is longer. And it's like, again, when you're going through life leading by your ego, this is the kind of thing that happens. But it's like, in a way, you kind of can't even like wrong people too much, or you just have to take it for what it is, because the way society is, society sets people up to be a little bit like not okay. You know what I mean? Society sets people up to think in this type of way where it's like, I have to compare myself to the other person, or, you know, let me look at this person. How much money are they making? Oh, I make more than that. And you know what? Even in the time where I used to have conversations with this person, I used to be so turned off. Whenever you have conversations with these people, it's like you can already see the sadness. You can already see, like, the insecurity. These are energies where if somebody has like a measuring tape like this, and you're like, such and such has a white measuring tape, I really like it. Oh, that's not a measuring tape. I have a bigger measuring tape. That's a white measuring tape. My measuring tape is yellow. But people who have bigger measuring tapes that are yellow are insecure, are not insecure, but are self-conscious that theirs is bigger, because they see the tiny one and they're like, oh my goodness, it's so tiny. So they're more prone to say to someone, "Oh, that's okay. You have a lovely measuring tape." Don't like they more want to like pat the person on the back. Like, "Don't worry about it. You'll get a bigger one day." There are people who have a lot of money and they have rich guilt. Like they're just more guilty at the fact that somebody else has less than them. So because of that, it's like they have guilt about it. They want to appear normal more than anything else. They know that this makes more sense when somebody comes in and they constantly want to like compare themselves to other people. You just have to understand you're in a situation with a bunch of people, and this to me kind of goes through all gang stalkers, not just the ones that deal with the cartel. We're talking about all people. I just kind of feel like, and I've continued to feel like that, you're in a situation with people who you really have to have bottomed out at life to accept this kind of thing. Like things, even if you have a job, you must just have aspirations and have no other means by which to come about the things that you want. You have to be just desperate. You have to be under pressure. There's no other way that I've sat down and thought about it as to why people would sign up for something like this. Following people around consciously, being on this level of negativity. Like, how did it start? How did you get here? So when you meet these kind of energies that would marry their spirit to your spirit, it's because your spirit is abundant in some way, and their spirit knows that it's not abundant. They know that. Now, the second thing, now this is something that I've always wondered from a kid. I've never actually, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've never actually met rich witch doctors. Maybe they exist somewhere, I don't know. But I never actually met one. I never actually seen one. And I was watching something on YouTube the other day, and I was watching like the most famous witch doctors in different countries, and it's like still not rich. Like they're doing okay, but not rich. And they play in energy. And it's like they're doing so much work. And it's like, I don't know, like to me it just seems like it's like, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's like starting a lie, where one lie leads to another lie, leads to another lie, and now before you know it, you're knee deep in lies. You don't know who you can talk to anymore. You're watching your back constantly. Like you were better off not starting the lie. Like now, because of the lie, you gotta live a lie. Because of this lie, you gotta, because you said you were a doctor, you gotta wear the coat, you gotta go home and Google terminology, you gotta like pretend you're going to a doctor's conference and fly to that city and be there. You gotta do all of this extra stuff because of that one lie. That's how I see people who work in spell work. That's how I see people who do spell work. That is the thing that I want to come up to. You're in a situation with people who have found themselves on their like thousandth lie. You're in a situation with people who have depleted all the goodness in their life. You're in situations with people who are solely dependent on the energy of other people because they've depleted their own. These are people that probably don't even remember what it's like to be normal. They probably don't even remember what it's like to just get up and do anything without spell work. You're in a situation with people who have no more light at all. At all. Not an ember, not a flicker, nothing. Totally dark inside. Far gone, gone. These are people who have been living on other people. Their spiritual gifts are stolen gifts. They're always coming into new gifts. So they just kind of see it as things that they can steal. Oh, this person's psychic, I can steal that. Oh, this person's able to do this, I can steal that. Those are the people that you're dealing with. So these people are energy And you know what, a lot of the terminology that I use, a lot of the words, it's like it does come from sometimes messages that I hear, but it just accurately describes the situation. These are energy vampires. These are people that they suck. They don't have enough to sustain themselves. That is why they have too many things riding them, and then they need the things that are riding them, they need to feed it, because once they feed it, then they can control the group that is around them. Let me be very clear. People who are gang stalking you, they have entities attached to them. For sure. For sure. At least one. At least one. They control these people through the entities. They put things on you constantly. They're going to find every avenue, every portal to infect you with something. If sex magic doesn't work, then they're going to be giving you food. If they can't do these things physically makes the most sense. But if they can't do it physically, they're going to do it through a dream. They're going to try to bring energy to you. They're going to try to infect you with something, put you in agreement with something one way or the other. They're going to try whatever they can to get things attached to you. It's the things that are attached to you, that's how they can control you. That's how they can subdue you. That's how they can defeat you. When people cannot physically get close to you and cannot get anyone else close to you, what they're going to do is they're going to try to come in your energy to cast the work, because they feel like it's not working from wherever they physically are. So that's where you're going to get people coming into your energy. And if you're a person that can tell when people come into your energy, people are going to physically come into your energy and kind of like put spell work on you and cast work on you. Okay? That's what they're there to do. They're either there to monitor, to get information, or to cast work on you. These people will take advantage. They're always on the hunt for children with gifts, because children are easy to manipulate. Give them a lollipop. You know they have a gift. Help them enhance it a little bit. Tell them to do something that you know they're going to get karma for. So they're going to carry the karma for carrying out the work. Now, what people are realizing in this situation is even if the children are the ones doing it, the karma comes back to both the person who petitions the work and the person carrying out the work. So they're putting these children in harm's way, taking advantage of their gifts, and they use the child as a familiar. They use the child. A familiar is basically like like a living sacrifice, like somebody who's gonna catch the karma for you. That's how they use these kids, and they're gonna take the gifts from the kids somehow anyway. They're gonna sacrifice this child anyway. And this is the kind of spiritual law that these people have broken, in my opinion, every spiritual law that I could think of. Like, I don't think there's a place that they haven't gone or a place that they're not willing to go. These people now are vessels for entities. They are at the mercy of entities. That's all it is. They feel that they're in their conscious mind. And here's the thing. I explained before in another video, no matter where you get information from, if it's from light sources being God and, you know, angelic forces, or if it's from dark forces, wherever you're getting information from, the source always makes you feel like you're on the right and everybody else is in the wrong. You can tell that by listening to karmic readers. Karmic readers see things completely differently. It's fascinating. That's why people have such a huge issue with accountability, because in their head, they really, really, really think that they're right in what they're doing. So the reader is telling them that, no, like, you're the divine being. They're a liar. You didn't even know what a divine being was in 2019, but it's telling you in 2024 that you're the divine being. And these people are not divine. But it's like when they're telling the story, nothing about the story is divine. The whole story is like wild things. It's craziness. And they're telling people the ancestors said this. People who don't have any ancestors. People who've been cut off in every, listen, you have no more light. You forfeited everything. You forfeited it not just by going against the only reason you're catching karma like this is because of your situation, because you're in the negative beyond the point where there's anything left to take. That's why your situation is unfolding like that. That's why these things are happening. Like, that's why it's revelations for these people. There's nothing more to take. There's nothing more to forfeit. Like, the time is done. It's done. You're in the negative. A group of people are in the negative. There's no more light. There's nothing more to take. They've sucked out everything that they can suck out of these people that they constantly want to control and dominate. They can't find, if they could have found an alternative energy source besides the people that they're chasing, they would have easily done that already. In my situation, if there was an alternative energy source that they could find, they would have easily been like, you know what, not worth the karma we're going through, let's just go that way. It would be common sense. It's the entities that don't want to agree to that. So it's gonna make no difference. There's gonna be no improvement in the situation. Like, no, it's gonna be refused. So they're in a situation where they're binded to only needing one energy, and it's an energy that they cannot have. So whether or not they want to stop, that's out of the cards. Whether or not, and you're telling me people can't really see. Well, you know what? I gotta say, I'm gonna stop assuming people can actually see things and not assume that. Perhaps they can't see that it can't be done. Perhaps they think, no, there has to be a way. Perhaps it's like fighting for something. Maybe somebody thinks if they can get me, they could get to me, then it'll heal the disease and all of that. But it's like you're in a human body. Like, things are either possible or they're not possible. They are of the belief that everything is possible, but there's rules. I think maybe slowly but surely people are going to come to accept, like, there are rules that everybody has to follow. Spirits have to follow rules too. There's only so much that they can do. Like, there are parameters, there are limits. Anyway, look, this is the point that we're at. So this is a blend of my situation, because I'm speaking a lot from my own perspective, but I don't know where everybody is in their journey. To accelerate your journey, you need to live and learn. You need to learn your lessons. Like, I don't want to say common sense, because every time my brain says common sense, it's like, I don't know, maybe it might not be that common. You need to learn your lessons. This is how you make it through something. You need to really learn the lessons that you need to learn, or you don't advance. That's it. It's like people want rocket, like, complex formulas. Too used to complications. It's simple. Just learn the lessons. That's it. There are, of course, people that are beyond learning a lesson. They're already trapped. Like, there's no more lessons to learn. There's no passing any exams. There's no solution to that problem. That's the simple answer. Accept it, don't accept it, it doesn't matter. But for the people who still have a hope, you need to learn the lesson. That's how you break out on time. You're not going to break out before time, you're going to break out on time. So it just takes as long as it takes, and it costs whatever it costs to get through your situation. This is life. Like, it doesn't matter. Hold on one second. It doesn't matter at this point what you've lost, what you're losing, how much money is in the account. This is not what that ride is about. This is like a magic carpet ride, okay? It's going to take you where it's going to take you. There's no seats, there's no seat belts, there's no brakes, there's no acceleration. The carpet is driving itself, and it's going to twist over and under, and you just have to trust that you're not going to fall off. Scary, yes. That's just life. That's just how it works. But you got to go for the ride. It is what it is. I have tried to have such a tight grip for a long time on, I don't want this to happen, I don't want that to happen, but it's supposed to happen. If you step outside of it and look at it from a higher perspective, you can't move forward with some of this stuff. It's baggage to you. And this stuff was not the way you built it. How can you take it with you? You can't. You have to just decide that you're going to let it go. You're having a divorce from your old self and you're dying. That part of you is dying. At what point do you think you're going to take the corpse with you just to have a corpse with you on a carpet? Like, you got to let all of it go. You have to be strong enough to let it go. A lot of the times I feel like people sitting in this situation think, "Well, I don't want to leave because," and they know that if they leave, these people are going to attack everything that they gave them. You have to look at it this way. Look at it in the perspective of how God operates, because these people try to operate like God in your life. When you're baptized or you enter into, let's say, the kingdom of God, let's put it that way. You have to leave everything behind that was not of God. Old friends, family members, sometimes even the place you live, the job you worked, everything. You got to leave everything, the way you used to dress, the way you used to think. You change internally first, and then everything outside of you changes. It manifests. It just, you enter a new world. That happens automatically by itself. These people have brought you into your world or their world, sorry, when you find yourself in that situation as a gang stalker. They've married you in. They've brought you in. They have taken over, hijacked your mentality. You're thinking differently. You're behaving differently. They want you to have all new friends. They've surrounded you. They've put you in a whole new world that they've orchestrated. So in order for you to leave that world, to get into another world, you have to leave everything behind. Is it scary? Yes, of course. It's a massive change. And they depend on that. They depend on the fact that it's going to be too jolting, too scary, too oppressive, that you're not going to want to get out of it. You're not going to want to leave. So it's going to be easier for you to stay, because this is not a situation where, as you go through life, when things change for you and God says, okay, it's time to come into the fold, this is something that happens to you without you making a conscious decision. But when you leave this situation, you have to make the conscious decision. It's self-directed. Because it's self-directed, you have the option to just not want to do it, or to start and to leave. You need to accept right away. Don't fight that part of the journey where you have to leave everything behind, and you have to leave everyone behind. Now, how do they try to keep you in there? You have children in there, you have a spouse in there, you have people that you have sex with outside of your spouse in there. There's no judgment for any type of like wrongdoing. There's no sort of judgment of any type of low vibrational behavior. It's a comfortable place for you to remain in your south node, in the lower version of yourself. They like when you're there because it gives the entity something to feed on. They make it comfortable and they make it hard for you to leave. They make it extremely hard for you to leave. So that being the case, why would you want to go through all that friction? And they're people, if you have to leave, you'll have to leave children behind. That's going to be really difficult for certain people to leave a child behind. That's going to be, and sometimes multiple kids, because I feel like every time in the situation that I'm talking about, every time I see these guys never just have like one child with one person. These guys have multiple children with multiple women. So there's multiple kids that they have to, not like they're the best parents anyway, but multiple kids that they have to leave behind. They have multiple situations that they have to part ways with. And that's just the men. With the women, I feel like some of the women, you have lust on you. You have an energy of lust on you. Obviously, you're gonna have a lot of accidental kids. So it's like people don't want to Like in my situation, when I was in the situation, once they get one person, they suck onto everybody around that person. So they start going for your friends, they start going for your family, they start going for everybody. Before you know it, it's not enough to just get you. They get your whole network, your whole social network. That's why they start working the way that they do. So it's like in order to leave that situation, you got to leave some stuff behind. You really have to leave. For me, in my situation, I've talked about my father. Actually, I've left everything behind, to be honest with you. I've left everything and everyone behind in that situation. And in order for a person to meet me, they have to meet me where I'm at. They have to divorce those situations to evolve to be where I'm at. This is the thing that I think these gang stalkers have been missing. You can't get to me because I'm not in that world. And when you graduate out of that world, hold on one second. When you graduate out of that world, there's really no going back. There's no waking up and saying I'm back in the situation that I started off with. There's no you've evolved past it. Now, in order to get to me, these people would have to go through God and who knows what else. And I mean, they've been trying to go through God, you know. So it is what it is. That's the long and short of the situation. Once you're divorced out of that situation, once the contracts have been broken, once you've left, you're in a new kingdom, if you will. You're in a new energy. You're in a new, and that energy comes with so much, you know. There's no point in me saying it's inadvisable to try to find me here. Who cares? Who cares what they do at this point? They could do what they do. Like, the evidence is either in front of you or it's not. Now, the thing about it is, it's like people know what's going on. And that's the thing. It's like, I think that's the thing that's disheartening but not surprising, is looking at how they lie to people, and they're not telling these people the truth. These people are seeing the truth. They're not telling people the truth. They're not telling people that they're dying in there. They're not telling people that everything in there is withering, that everything in there, like, it's burning up. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It doesn't matter. All of these things, like hacking people's accounts, and in the beginning, I used to hear they're in competition with you, and I'm like, competition how? Like, what? I used to be confused what the competition was, because I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, they're in a spell work competition, because that's what they thought it was. They thought it was spell work. They were not willing to believe that it wasn't spell work. So they wasted a lot of time trying to figure things out. I think even though God is putting all the information in front of people's face, it's like, why does this person have this life or is like that? Well, they're a good person. That's not good enough. No, that's a lie. They're not a good person. I know they're not a good person. And it's just like, that kind of mentality is part of the reason why, like I said, I don't waste my energy explaining things to people, because it's like, they're not going to believe it anyway. People really think that, and I had this little boy who came to paint my store say it to me. He's like, anything's possible. You just share your karma by like doing good things. And I'm like, oh my God. That's why they're in this situation. That's why it's working this way for them. Maybe that could have worked when you're dealing with another person with no light, but that doesn't work when you start playing in places where it's like committing crimes in front of like the police station instead of doing it in like a back alley. It's like, why are you doing it in public? It's like blatantly gang stalking in public where it's being exposed. Like right now, people are being exposed. It's like blatantly doing things where you're being exposed, as opposed to doing things under the dark. You would think that they would be gang stalking people who are actual criminals, who they know have a criminal record, who have something where it's like, for sure nobody need, but now they're doing it to just maybe they've gotten away with it for a while, doing it to people that are just normal people with no record, and maybe quite possibly that's what it is, or people who say that they're Christian, or people who say they're Muslim, or people who, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's like there's a general rule of thumb, even amongst people who do dark arts. Like, you just don't, they usually don't touch certain people. They leave it alone because all money's not good money. They leave it alone. So I don't know. Sometimes I get confused. I can't understand the motivation. It's been nice to understand that, oh, okay, so it's the cartel and they have a job to do, and that's why, to do or die. Okay, that makes sense. But it's like to keep going in a situation that and then I would think to myself, you know what, why do you want to work for people who don't understand if something can't get done? Like, imagine taking money from people who don't understand that something just can't get done. Like, they're just pushing it. And this is all part of the karma. Like, it's just all lessons. It's all just things that you have to learn before you go. You have to learn what your energy is like. So this person has to experience themselves in the person that just won't understand, that won't, it can't be done. Well, you're going to get it done. If you don't get it done, I'm going to get you out of here. If you don't get it done, I'm going to start with your kids and this and that. It's like a person who monitors everything that you do. That's what it's like. A person who won't let you escape, who won't leave you alone. That's the karma, to experience yourself. Now, the gang stalkers are getting gang stalked. Period. I don't need to be in your energy, tapping into your energy to know that. They're getting gang stalked. They're getting monitored. They need to validate their actions, what they're doing. They need to prove it. Now, on top of actually getting things done, they need to try to come on here and make fake comments and bait for comments and wait to hear, oh, but I did this and I did that and da-da. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Like, the situation, technically, it's like you're in a cycle and you were in a cycle with someone, and then the person broke out of the cycle, and it's like now you're in the cycle by yourself. And it doesn't matter how it looks in reality. You could see that you're in the cycle by yourself. You could see that all the things that used to work are not working anymore. You can see how things are going. It's terrifying experiencing your own energy when that is the energy that you're putting out. So now you can identify why people don't like you, people don't want to be around you, things don't go your way. People might say, yes, ma'am, sir, yes, sir, da da da, but it's like they want to stay as far away from you as possible. Now, does it make sense why being a good person attracts things to you? It's like ABC. You know, these are things that people should be teaching children so that the kids can have an easier time as well. Anyway, it is what it is. What I really want to talk about, I'm already at 60 minutes because this thing puzzles me. This is the stuff that I think about while I'm driving. This is the stuff that I'm going over in my head, and I'm trying to figure out how comes people can't see what's going on here. That these things are cyclical. They are not forever. You cannot build anything like this. This is not gonna last forever, and it doesn't matter how long it went on for. Every empire falls. It doesn't matter. It's cyclical. When the time comes, it doesn't. You being there fighting a cycle is the karma. You thinking you're trying to make headway while you're sinking is the karma. That is how other people have felt being oppressed by you. Being in a terrifying situation, in a nightmare, watching everything fall out of your hands is the death spell. They know how it works because they've done it to other people. Anyway, let's talk about prayer. So, I don't know who I'm talking to with the prayer thing, because sometimes I come on here for one reason and I end up speaking about it in another way. And I just allow it to flow because I'm like, maybe this is the message that I need to deliver. I don't know. Because I definitely know I am not here of my own volition. I am not here because I really desperately want to be here and enjoy it. No, not at all. But I am here because I feel that I have to be here. So Every time I come on here and the messages just flow, I figure this is just the message that was supposed to be delivered. Maybe somebody need to hear something. I don't know. I don't know what perspective I'm coming from with this prayer, but every time I try to go over in my head like how I'm going to talk about it, it never seems like I'm talking about it from a perspective of just people being gang stalked. And that's really who I want to be talking to, but it's difficult because look, I've already accepted that I see things because I have to see them. No matter what I try. It's like my job is to meet people. Like it just seems like that's my job. Yo, I cannot explain this. Like it makes no sense to me, and it's just like, "Oh my goodness, did I sign up for this somehow?" So, the people that I constantly meet when being gang stalked, I don't know if I meet those particular ones and I see those particular ones, or I don't know what it is, but it's like I see people who are trapped. That's what I see. I don't I don't see, I don't know. They're agitating for sure. They're irritating for sure. They have some audacity, some of them for sure. The ones who have the most audacity and they think it's funny are the ones with the entities are strong on their system. You can see it. They always have little glimpses here and there, and I call it the mask slipping off because they definitely have to wear a mask. They have to. That's part of their job. And probably self-preservation as well. That's probably part of it where, excuse me, you know what? It's better to just feel that you're in control of your situation than truly admit to yourself like you're in a nightmare. There's also people that don't even know that they're in a nightmare yet. They think they're in some secret society that's like full of benefits. And I don't put that past anyone as well, because when you have these energies on you, they definitely play games with you. So I don't put that past anyone. However, there are people you can feel the energy on them. You can feel it. There are some people, if enough of them are in one location, the whole location feels like the energy in the whole place is fucked up. The whole place, like walking up to it, you feel it. Like you just know that they're there. And there's something to do with people who are in drug culture in particular. It's a particular energy that they have. Their energy is like unique to them. Those people, there's a unique energy. That energy fights with like other people. I can't explain it, but the energy is biting. Like it's the person is there and they're talking to you, but the energy is like doing something else. These people that are in drug culture, specifically them. I don't know how people are supposed to deal with this situation. Who knows? My brain just said who cares, and that's not true. I don't know how people are going to deal with this situation. I couldn't tell you because again, I don't, this is not stuff that I personally play with. I don't know what to tell someone. I know, logically one might be able to say, well, if you have a spirit of jealousy on you, it's not probably, it's going to be hard work, because I'm thinking to myself, if you have a spirit and energy of jealousy on you, then more than likely you're going to want to not be jealous. And if that's how you've been living for the past 20 years, that may present a challenge. Don't know what to say. I don't know if you go get baptized. I don't know. Maybe that's something that people need to figure out. But one thing I know is if you've made that agreement, you get an energy on you. You get monitoring spirits on you for sure. These monitoring spirits know what you're doing. They follow you around. They wake up every time you do a certain thing. Like you just, you're not yourself. You're not yourself, and that's for sure. And I don't know if they eat away at people's common sense, they eat away at people's intellect. I don't know what it is, but these people do not make sense to me. I don't know what to say. They don't make, every behavior seems like self-sabotage, and I don't understand why people don't see it. Like, I don't know. Maybe people are seeing it now. Maybe that's why people are not signing up to be a part of these situations. That's why maybe people are backing out of these situations. That's why people don't want involvement in it. Maybe they're seeing the fact that I walk free and I'm not involved and I'm healthy and I'm normal and I'm moving on with my life. Maybe they see that and they're like maybe I can do it too. I have no idea. One thing I can tell you though is just from seeing the way this practitioner is, this man is successful because he's obsessive. Because he has an energy of obsession on him. It's the energy that is successful. It's not him. He would have given up a long time ago. It's the energy that's on him that won't stop, that doesn't quit, that takes a tighter grip on people when people say no, that doesn't know boundaries. It's the stalker energy, that energy of obsession, that cycle. That is the energy. That is what's lent itself to some sort of success, some sort of like not wanting ever to let anyone go, even at the cost to itself, just not caring about it. If somebody doesn't care about themselves, they most definitely do not care about the well-being of anybody else. So he knows that he's putting people, innocent people or people who have nothing to do with this, in harm's way. He knows this for a fact, and he's doing it anyway. When you find yourself in a situation that you decide to walk away, and I started this yesterday, you need to pray. Prayer is not like, this is why I have this thing where I feel like there's people who, I feel like a lot of people feel like prayer is not real but magic is real, but they're doing the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just what you're praying to is different. It's the same thing you're doing. They're over there chanting, they're over there invoking energies, they're over there doing the same thing that you're supposed to be doing. So, and I don't know, and I don't even know how to start with people, because I don't know what spiritual beliefs people have, if people are just have no spiritual beliefs, in general. I don't know how to start with it, but you need help. You didn't get into this thing, you got forcefully put into this situation, because yesterday my video was talking about cutting off handlers. So obviously this is for people trapped in that situation. If you got into this situation forcefully, that means you couldn't help but not get into it. So you're going to need help getting out of it. And you're going to need to pray. Now, I wish sometimes that I could deliver the messages the way that I get the messages, because the way that I get the messages are a lot more impactful than the way that I deliver the messages. A lot more impactful. You need to invoke. Now, see, this is again, it's difficult for me to figure out what to say to people, because I don't know if my beliefs are universal, or if I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to give this out. First of all, we're starting in a situation where most people pray to God the Father. Okay. And I've obviously referred to God as a mother energy over and over. So I don't even know what to tell people. I don't know what to tell people. I don't know if to tell people like, well, you need to call on to the same energy that I deal with predominantly, or what you need to do. But the best I can say is maybe you can start off with ancestors, a past loved one who is actually of the light. Okay. Somebody in that you used to know that's on the other side. Hopefully there's somebody in your family who used to have light in them. I don't think people in the dark are going to help you or be able to help you, because the unfortunate part is when you're in this situation and you're this deep, you're at the bottom. I don't know if people, I'm here to say that you're at the bottom. In case you didn't know, you're at the bottom. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much social influence you have. These are supernatural events happening. You're at the bottom. You're not like midway underwater where you could still like You're at the bottom. Let's be dead real now. This is not about taking sides. This is not about animosities. It's not about anything like that. Be honest with yourself. What has been happening for the last 12 months in your life? Where's the money? This is what people are doing it for. So where's the money at the very minimum? All these people keep coming around. They're all sick. People are coming in. They have like a big thing like this. There's sores under their armpit. They're in and out of the hospital. Let's be real. Yes, this is backfired work. Yes, this is the practitioner that's actually making people sick and doing all of this. Yes, there's that too, but as a group, I'm talking about as a group, things are not moving, things are not shaking. Like, things are not what they were. We're not talking about the economy that's bad. Crime should be separate from the economy. We're talking about people that cannot move. And it's been more than a year, more than a year and a half. If you're real with yourself, it's been a while. Like, maybe things were good for the first 6 months of when this was going on. Things are out of control. And it's starting to spread. It's spreading to children. Things are happening that are out of the ordinary. So it's like part of me is like, what's the point of giving this information? Because I know that there's no way out of this. There's no way out. God doesn't want people like this to exist. I don't know what to say. Maybe it's like taking your last rites. I don't know I really don't know what it is. I don't know who it's for. But, I can say this, and this seems to be a general practice. If you're close to ancestors, if you're close to people that have passed away, people of the light, if you don't have people of the light, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know where to begin with the conversation. You need people of the light. If you have people of the light, you invoke ancestors, you start to pray that way. You ask for help. Your ancestors direct you from there. They direct you from there where you need to go. That is the best that I can say. How you pray. Prayer is not necessarily, and I touched on this the last video, prayer is not necessarily like how you see TV church pastors. It doesn't have to be like that sophisticated. Prayer is talking. Prayer is a conversation. You're building a relationship, and you would do so in the same way that any other relationship is built. Frequency is more important than sophistication. The more time you devote to it is more important than the words that you say. There are people who think that, I heard this reading and it was like saying that, and I don't know if some of this stuff applies to me, because I'm like, that's crazy. Some of these, I'm like, nah, it couldn't be me. Couldn't be my situation anyway. It's a collective anyway, so it could be anybody. But it was basically saying that these people who are doing work on someone else went to this person's ancestors, went to the grave, and we're now starting to put offerings on the altar to somebody else's ancestors. Like, yo, what? You're inviting people's ancestors who you're hurting into your house? Yo, this is desperate and crazy. Loco, what? Do you know how people's ancestors are waiting for an invitation because they want to get in there? And you're telling me you put them on an active altar? Whoa. That's like me saying the energy that's attacking me, I'm going to make this energy work for me in my mind, and I'm going to go put offerings to the energy on my altar. This thing wants you. Like, that's crazy. See, this is the type of stuff people do, and then they blame other people for what they're going through. I'm telling you, it's a psychosis. So I'm thinking that can't be. Where did that idea come from? If you have an entity riding you and you did something like that, the entity is working with the person's ancestors for sure. Because common sense, Anyway, with prayer, say you have an altar, and not everybody needs an altar, but before you talk about having a personal altar in your home, just know that the church you go to also has an altar. Be realistic now, please. I hate when I hear the satanic conversation. It doesn't make sense. Be realistic. You don't want an altar, a personal space for God in your home, and then you go to a church and bow in front of an altar at the church. The church altar has the same elements. There's candles burning, there's flowers, they keep it clean, they worship in there, they chant in there, they're invoking in there, there's vessels of water, there's food, there's symbolism, there's sacrifices. It's the same thing, but you don't want to do it in your house. You don't have to. I'm not even going to judge. You don't have to. However, I made a video that perhaps you might want to set up an altar. An altar is almost like saying, here's a sacred space. The same way I have a bedroom in here, and I have, my family members also have a space where they know they're welcomed. This is the space for you. It is a special space. You're welcomed. You're going to eat with us when we eat. You're going to, be a part of everything that's going on with us. You're with us. It's a sacred space for all of us. We're inviting you into our home. You are a member of this family. It's just like that. Simple. That's all it is. It doesn't matter so much the altar, it matters more who you're inviting in and who you're praying to. I think that there are certain energies that you shouldn't go to directly. I think most entities you shouldn't go to directly. I think, and I've said this before, that your ancestors make introductions for you. It's the same, in my situation, it's the same thing. It's supposed to be widely accepted information in the spiritual community. I know that it's not, but I think it should be. I know that there's kids, especially maybe kids that might not have a cultural background in spirituality, that Google something, or they're on TikTok, or they're on whatever, and they hear of an entity, and then they're like, I work with Kalima, I do this and I do that. If these energies approach you without your ancestors making that connection, I don't know what to tell you, to be honest. I can't even tell you use your gut, because a lot of these energies, they're dualistic. They have a good side, they have a bad side. They have sides of them that work in the light. They have sides of them that are, shadow. So I don't know what to tell you. I can't give people advice like, just because an energy comes towards you, that you should accept it into your space, into your home, into your heart, into your vessel. I cannot give this advice, because this is something that you need caution when dealing with these kind of things, so you don't find yourself in a situation where you're fighting for your own vessel. And the more light you have inside of you, the more you attract these energies, the more these energies are very obsessive towards you. So I cannot give guidance. I don't feel it's right to give guidance. You have to use your own discernment. That's why I talk about ancestors being a bridge with these energies, and this is how you're comfortable. If your ancestors are comfortable with it and they make the introduction, then it might be a safe place to be. But you can't really tell. Like, this is, I think that's probably the best way to put it, is if you have a person in your family. And I always find, when I've listened to stories, when I've been, just from like youth situations I've gone through, there's usually an ancestor that passes right around the time or right before you have a big trial that comes into your life. And a lot of times people will say, especially in Hollywood, people will say, oh, this person sacrificed this member of their family to get fame. But sometimes, in order for that person to go through what they needed to go through in order to reach their destiny, that ancestor had to be on the other side helping them. Almost as how they used to say that, like, Jesus in the Bible was an intermediary between you and God. So it's like they painted Jesus like a lawyer that would basically be advocating on your behalf on the other side. Whether that means making introductions for you, or realizing or assessing what your situation would need, putting you in contact with the right energies, whatever the case may be. So perhaps that is the answer. Perhaps you need to be invoking your ancestors in this situation, maybe not going direct. I will say this much. People refer to God the Father the most, and they talk to God the Father the most, and this is the hardest energy to meet, because you have to be in a extremely high vibration to talk to God, to touch God like that. You got to start somewhere else. Most people are not in the correct vibration for something like that. That's the long and the short of the situation. Like there's that's it. If you find yourself in a situation that's tough, and you know that you have not been up to good things and you have a bunch of karma to pay, personally, I wouldn't try to go directly to God. You are blocked. You're blocked from that energy. It's not that the energy doesn't have interest in you, it's that you are blocked from the energy. Like, you cannot access it. It cannot hear you. You're not in the right vibrational space. That for that energy to commute, like, it's a long shot. It's a long shot for even people in like I've been in probably some of the highest vibrations that, even for me, that I can think like a person could be in. And it's a tough energy to communicate with in the way that you think that you want to. I wouldn't start there. I would start, you need an intermediary, especially when you're on the wrong side of karma. You need some type of intermediary, and you need their agreement to even participate with you. If you're a gang stalker in my city, I don't know, try. I wouldn't hold my breath. Situation's bad. It's not bad. It's like terminal. This is not a joke when they say there's no protection. People know how to do witchcraft, and they can't stop what's going on here. This is bigger than any one, like, god or entity or being. Like, it's time for it to be done. Like, the contracts are null and void. Like, it's done. It's done. It's the end. It's the end. If you're not being gang stalked, or sorry, if you're not a gang stalker in my city, I don't know what to tell people in my city. I don't know what to tell people in Toronto. I don't. In the beginning, I used to try and be like, actually, I think when I started this live, there was still time. I really do. I genuinely really do. I feel like there was, because I started end of November, I feel like there was 1 month left to turn it around. I really, 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 really believe that in my heart. I do. I tried, and I was like, listen, if you're in this situation, you might want to turn back. You might want to figure it out. You might want to pray. You might want to, now in March? I don't know. I just, but who am I to say? And I'm very humble about that. Who am I to say? I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to have the answer to it. I don't. I just feel like I know it's too late in my heart, in my gut. I know it's too late. I'm looking around me and I'm seeing it's a hit. It's been a hit for a long time. It's a setup. It's like you're chasing it's not even like something's chasing them. They're chasing their demise. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. But if you're in a situation, let's say you're being gang stalked, and you know in your heart that there are things that you've done or that are in your past that will block you from the light, that will hold you back, behaviors that you have, vices that you have. When you go to any spirit of the light, any ancestor, you need to start with confessions first. You're not just going expecting that anyone's going to help you. You need to start just admitting what you've done. All of it. People think that there's Like it's not going to make a difference. It's like two apologies. One person comes to you and they're like, listen, I know what I did. I know what I did was wrong. These are the things that I've done. Here's my confession. And it's sincere and it's coming from the heart. This is what I've done. And you're purging of yourself, and you're not even expecting forgiveness, but you're just saying like, look, if you see it fit to forgive me, I would love your forgiveness. If not, I accept it. Like that's the attitude you're coming with. You're definitely not coming with, when you're not on the right side of karma, you're definitely not coming with any, because you can't look at anyone and be like, hey, haven't I done all of this? Haven't I listened? Haven't I, lived in such a way? You don't have any of that. You don't have any audacity to stand on. So you just have to look at it like you're begging. You're on your knees and you're hoping for a Hail Mary. And that's just the way that it is. So in the process of doing that, you're going to purge out a lot of, what's the word? You're going to purge a lot of it out. There's going to be a lot of shame. There's going to be a lot of emotions that come up with it. You're going to be ashamed of yourself. You're going to, like, this is natural, right? This is how it goes. You start that way. Prayer is something that I've described needs to be extremely consistent. It is consistent. It's consistently making time for something. You make time to shower every day. You make time to eat every day. It's the same thing. When you don't eat for a while or you don't shower for a while, you'll notice a difference. That's the habit that you come in with praying. Praying is like non-negotiable. Praying is a lifestyle. It's not like an event. It's not like I'm in trouble right now, help me out of it, and I go back. It doesn't work that way. I've talked about in past using other tools to help you in your prayer life. I have a Bible that I use, that I read. I would love to read other books as well. So it's not limited to the Bible. If you have, a Quran, if you have, say, another holy text that you have that you'd like to read, that's fine. YouTube, I would use. Listen, even practitioners have Mary Magdalene, Our Lady of Guadalupe, all of that on their altar. Okay, so it's not about any one particular religion. It really is not about that. It's the intentions that matter. People use the same energies for good a lot of the times as they use for bad. Besides God the Father, God the Mother, these energies, like those kinds of energies are, it's a different topic. Whatever, a lot of energies, people have them. There's dark practitioners with them on their altar, and there's other people with the, that are not dark, that also, pray to and use these energies as well. So it really just boils down to, and I'm not advocating or pushing for anybody to do anything, to be honest with you. I genuinely believe that spirituality is a self-directed practice. This is not something that anybody can come and say to you, you do this and you do that, because people's paths are different. People are walking different paths. People have different expectations of themselves. People, like, you'll just know, you'll feel it. Like, there's some readers that other people listen to, even other readers connect to, and they don't do it for me. They just don't do it for me. I don't feel their light. I don't believe what they're saying. My spirit doesn't accept them. But there's readers that I like that like them. I don't know what it is. So it's just self-directed. There's things that other people commonly do that I don't do. And there's things that I do that I notice that other people don't do. I think it's just it's between you and God. And you just have to feel like something is right in your gut. A part of me wants to feel that people going through this situation, I think I was actually shocked when I came on YouTube that the large majority of people being gang stalked recognize that it's something spiritual already. They recognize that it's something energetic already. So it's not a far stretch to say that you should pray. I just haven't seen, I see a lot of people talking about it, but I haven't seen a lot of people talking about healing, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about prayer. And this is really important. Prayer can work in real time. Prayer is not something that takes forever. For sure, there's some prayers that take forever. Excuse me, there's no timeline when it comes to praying. There's prayers that you pray that are going to work in real time. Something is not working it just happened to me today. This guy came in my energy. was praying against me, praying against what I was doing. As he was praying against me, whatever I was doing, I said a prayer, things pushed through. Simple as that. Then you're going to have prayers that you're going to say, God, please take me out of this situation. God's going to take you out of the situation when it's time to take you out of the situation and not before. So things are going to go on until they have to go on, until you've learned all your lesson, until you can graduate out of the situation. There's nothing you can do about it. One thing I always say is it takes as long as it takes and it costs what it costs. When it comes to what you're going through, it takes what it takes and it costs what it costs. No matter what side of the fence you're in. If you are a gang stalker, I don't think gang stalkers know that they cannot get out. One person described how he was gang stalked by one person that he worked with, and that person later on gang stalked someone else. I think that's how it works. When you participate in that type of lifestyle, you can't come out. Where are you gonna go? You're gonna go tell people that gang stalking exists after they work so hard to tell everybody that gang stalking doesn't exist? You gotta stay in the network. So I think no matter what side of the coin you're on, if you want to pull yourself away from these type of energies, you need prayer. This is non-negotiable. When I first came, I was like, well, I don't know if people pray and I don't know what to say, but it's non-negotiable. You need prayer. You don't need prayer just in the morning and at night, even though I have advocated that. You need prayer around the clock. I pray before I go do things. I pray after I go do things. I ask God, the energies that guide me. If something I'm about to do is is it a wise idea? Should I do it? Sometimes they guide me down places where I would have not gone on my own, to deal with people that I would have not wanted to deal with bad people. And I'm like, is this a good idea? Because I'm feeling like it's not a good idea. And they're like, yeah, it's a good idea. Do it. Should I pay for this? Yeah, do it. They know what's going on. They know why they want me to do that. I just follow through with it. So you need prayer in your life every day, everywhere you go, every step that you take. The prayer is not just for every now and again. If you're being gang stalked, and I've tried to explain this as best as I can with my channel. If you are being gang stalked, it is not just they're gang stalking me, they're following me around, they're harassing me. No. You're in a ritual almost. You're in a ritual. And in all of the text descriptions in all of my videos, I say they're putting you in a situation where they want to take everything from you. Your health, your sanity, your money, your business, your public image. And I talked about the 12 houses in astrology, and every house representing a different part of your life. That's what they're trying to take. They're trying to take away everything from you, strip you of everything, your business, your health, your hope, your sanity. They're using the gang stalking to lower your vibration, they can't have you in a peaceful, calm state for you to solve problems, for you to think straight, for you to be able to pray. That's why the prayer is important. I talk about the tools that I use. This thing right here, this sage, this is so important you won't even know. It's so sage and smoke cleansing is so important that I smoke cleanse in my car. When they can't access your energy, they will do whatever it is that they can. And believe me, these are not people who make it easy for you to give up. These are not people who give up. Once they start the ritual, they keep going. I don't know. You know what I think it is? And I've said this all the time. I call it a seesaw spell. And I say that if you're up, they're down. This is why they try to work so hard to get you in a certain position, because if things are looking up for you and you're looking healthy and clear-minded and relaxed and not in fear and your body's healthy, etc., it starts happening to them. That's the energy that they've put out. So once they start, they do not stop. Their only way out is for you to suffer the things that they want you to suffer. The longer you remain positive and hopeful and all of that, the more they suffer. And this is why I say it's so important to do the breath work. breathe properly, calm your body down, calm your nervous system down so you can think straight, so you can cling to normal, because you don't know what normal is. When I was first going through this thing, I used to sit down and have to imagine what normal is. Can you believe that? I've lived my whole life being normal, and I found myself in my room trying to imagine what normal was and clinging to normal as much as possible. Like a world where you're not being chased around, a world where you're not looking behind you thinking I'm being followed, a world where you're not thinking my phone's hacked, my TV's hacked, my computer's hacked, people are watching me, people are against me. Clinging to normal. And then you have to kind of walk yourself back and be like, whoa, I'm not breathing normally. I'm not thinking normally. I'm not behaving normally. Let me correct those things. Let me correct it from the inside, and it will manifest on the outside. You have to suspend this belief that you have that your world is in shambles or upside down, and you have to imagine yourself in a normal world. You have to speak it out there. I'm in a normal world. Things are normal for me. I'm done with this cycle. This cycle is closed. This is manifestation power. This is speaking your world into existence. This is invoking the environment around you that you want. That's how it works. You can't it's like me starting something and not believing in it. You know how you manifest things? You got to get so close you can taste it. You can smell it. You don't have it yet, but you can feel it. You're walking in that energy. The best way to describe it is when I was learning to drive. I didn't actually know how to drive. Well, I was taking the driving lessons with an instructor. Obviously, this is like when I was a kid, right? I'm taking the driving lessons with the instructor, but and I've never driven on the highway yet because I haven't gotten licensed, but I can feel it. And then I was dreaming it. I was in my dream, I was driving. And you have to understand, from a kid's perspective, this is huge, because it's like, I'm going to get a car of my own. I'm going to be on the highway. I'm going to be independent. You're nervous. You're scared. And I failed one time before too, which kind of knocked my ego down a little bit. Not my ego, but my confidence. And when I knew that time that I dreamt it, that I was like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to pass. Now look at how silly that is, because it's like, you're going to drive. If you're taking, like, you might fail 3 times, but eventually you're going to pass. This is how you have to look at it. It doesn't matter how many times I fail at this, how many times I see remnants of it. I'm going to break out of it. They want you to believe it's never going to end, but you're going to break out of it. You need God's assistance to get through this. Everybody that makes videos about gang stalking, they have a different perspective to give people. My perspective is of hope. My perspective is of breaking out. My perspective is of leaving. My perspective is of giving back of the tools that helped me break out of the cycle in order to see other people do the same. Yes, it was definitely having hope. Yes, it was definitely speaking it into existence, but it was also prayer. And not also the cornerstone. 80% of it was prayer. When you walk out there on the street, it is God that is walking with you. If you walk with God. If you walk with God. It's God that is walking with you, that is telling you, you can't trust that person. You probably don't want to go that way. You probably don't want to do that thing. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. Everything that I learned, nobody taught me. There was no master class. Maybe one time I got advice of using dragon's blood. Somebody said, use dragon's blood. One time I got advice. I'm here giving everybody a whole bunch of healing tips that nobody taught me. I figured every bit of this out myself. Had no choice. I was under heavy attack. So it's the same thing. Now, I say I was learning myself, but I was given that information. I was given that information by a higher power. I had no sort of background in any of this stuff. I think maybe these people consider me special. It's not that I don't consider myself special, so I don't want this to feel like a self-esteem thing, but I give God all of that credit, to be quite honest with you. Because when I'm out there on the street, listen, I've learned to just walk in step with God. If I'm about to take a step and I don't see God's foot in front of me, I put mine back immediately. I'm talking about taking very serious decisions while being heavily monitored, while people knew my every move, and watching God make these things go through. And these people's lives were dependent on, lives and money were dependent on making me take a major fall. So I can't tell you about, well, I can. I could tell people a lot of things. I could talk about turning your cell phone off. I could talk about spiritual baths on the spiritual side, but none of it matters if you don't have God. You could sit in that bathtub all you want by yourself. Nothing will happen. It's God in that tub with you. It's God doing the healing. It's not you in there doing some sort of ritual. You're in there with God. It's like a baptism. That's what it's really like. That's what it really boils down to. So, like I said, you want a holy book for prayer. I have my Bible. Mine's white. I don't often see white Bibles. You want a book for prayer. And then you want to learn how to pray. You want to talk to, like I said, an ancestor. You can talk to God directly. I'm not telling anybody not to. You say what you do, what is comfortable for you. Once you put the intention out there and you're calling on to energies of the light, you're calling on to angelic energies, you're calling on to energies to help you take you out of this situation that you've gotten yourself in or that you found yourself in. You're going to need to walk with God step by step. Ask God everything. Talk to God about everything. Everything. Acknowledge God in all that you do. And that does mean getting rid of your ego, because it's not you, it is God. It is not you, it is God. So, for me, it comes all the way down to, like, what am I going to wear today? And I've talked about that in other videos, like, okay, what are we wearing today? Should I do this color? Like, that's how much I include God in everything that I'm doing. If I'm cooking, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to think to myself, I'm not even just thinking what I want to eat. I'm thinking, I got to put something on my altar. So what would be appropriate? What would make sense to put on my altar? What would God enjoy? I look at things like, should I go get this thing done? Should I start this thing now? Should I delay? When God wants you to speed up your activity, God tells you. When God wants you to take it slow, God tells you too. When God wants you to stagnate in things and relax and take things slow, God tells you as well. When God wants you to start, God tells you as well. I was pushing to start something for months, and it's like, God's going to tell me the right time to take it fast, the right time to slow down, and that's what God does in every single way. Because you don't know what's in the way. There's so much that you don't know. And I always say sometimes it's like, you don't want to know. I don't know if I wanted to trouble myself with all the information that I have. I'm being honest. I always kind of liken it to like when Obama took office and he got gray, and like they were showing befores and afters of him, and like internally we would joke like, maybe he knows aliens are real. Maybe he's seen stuff that is just crazy. I've seen stuff that's crazy. I experience things that are crazy on a daily basis all the time. So for me, I just feel like as much of it that God can take care of for me that I don't personally have to be involved with, the better. The better. I see people who, in my situation, they throw a lot of energy at me, and it's like they want to have this spell work competition. I'm glad I don't have to sit there and think about what next spell work I have to go learn or I have to use to like get back at someone. Leave it in God's hands. I say a prayer. And I'm very specific. I ask God for what I want. And let me tell you something. You don't always get it. This is not a genie. They seem to think that. This is not a genie. If this were a genie, I wouldn't have done no year and a half. As soon as that started, it would have been done for me. What? Why do I want to go through this? This is not a genie. This is not how this works. There's totally things that are not on your path that are not getting answered. They're getting blocked. That is because these energies actually care about you. They actually love you. Something that doesn't love you puts you in a position to screw yourself over. Something that loves you says, look at your children. You love your children. You're not granting every wish. 13-year-old tells you that they want to be out all night and you're going to say, oh, because you want it, let's do it. No, absolutely not. You're funny. No, that's how your ancestors treat you. You're funny. No. And they see ahead of you. And there's things they hold back from you because they know if they told you, you wouldn't do what you were supposed to do. So I always say it takes however long it takes. There's some things that you're going to get. You're not going to get it this year or next year or the year after, but you'll get it eventually. Just hang tight. You think they're going to tell you it's going to take 5 years up front? If they told you that, you either it's for you, but you would have given up on yourself. You wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have taken the first step. So I always say it costs what it costs, and it takes how long it takes. And you really can't. And when I was learning about manifestation, that was the first lesson. When you ask, you release it and you walk away, or you're going to screw it all up. You're going to be your own hindrance. If you ask for you to come out of gang stalking and that's what you pray for, let it go. Don't start thinking every day, oh my God, I'm still being gang stalked and it's been 6 months. So let it go. They're working on it. They're working on it. That's all you need to know. And once you have a real relationship with God, and that's really what the prayer is about, building a real relationship. Prayer is not just about like being fake thankful and doing these prayers that you're not feeling. It's about the intention. God respects a prayer where you're speaking like yourself. You know, even if that's speaking in slang, whatever it is, where you're being your authentic self. I'm not saying God loves swearing, but that's not what don't swear when you pray, okay? Let me just put a pin in that. Do not swear when you pray. But there are people that I can see that do pray and do have a relationship with God and they swear a lot. I don't think God is in favor of the swearing, but I think the heart is in the right place. And that is what's more important. Your heart and your intentions are in the right place. And in that person, they may be defensive. They may be a lot of things, but I can tell this is a kind person who has these defenses up because of how kind they were. So I'm not saying that you should go into prayer and do not go into prayer in a disrespectful stance, but I'm saying what's more important in the prayer is you being yourself, talking like yourself, letting God know, like, this is what it is. I accept my part in it. I totally accept my part in finding myself in the situation that I do. I know that I went the wrong way. I know that I accepted behavior that I shouldn't have. I can see clearly where I went the wrong way. I totally get it. Now, if those people gang stalking me talk and they say, oh, she's so holy now, but she used to sell these type of clothes and she used to do... I accepted, guilty as charged. I did. And I knew better. That's the worst part. I knew better. In my heart, I was meditating all day. I was praying. I was doing all of this stuff. And then I was doing this to make $1. So now that I'm here, I'm at the end of this chapter where I'm doing this. There were so many times my intuition told me, this is not you. This is not the way you're supposed to be running a business. You wouldn't even dress like this. You wouldn't even go to these places. Why are you doing this? My intuition told me, and I overrode that information. This is why I lean so heavily on my intuition now. If my gut tells me something, I'm not overriding that. If my gut says something to me, it's like, I gotta be honest with myself. Perhaps I put myself in this situation. Not even perhaps. I for sure put myself in this. You need to be honest with yourself. But going to God and saying, listen, I know I put myself in this situation. I really do need help. And, you know, this is what I can offer. This is your sacrifice. This is your offer. This is what I can offer if you help me out of this mess. I'm not going to be dealing with these type of people anymore. I'm not going to be living this type of life anymore. I am in service to you. It's not just you asking and you getting and you taking and you're not giving back. What does God want from you? If God gives you a gift, and I've said this so many times, That gift is not for you. You're the custodian of a gift. You have custody of it. It can and will be snatched at any time if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to even be showing an interest in, well, I know I found myself in this situation. I'm being gang stalked and I'm asking for a new life and I'm asking for protection. I'm asking for you to take me out. Where can I meet you in the middle? What can I do to make sure not only that this doesn't happen again, but how can I be of service to you? I knew one thing when I was getting through it and God was with me. There was never a day I thought I was on my own. I knew every day I was surrounded. I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. And one thing I knew that was going to happen, whether or not I was asked, is I knew that I was going to have to talk about it. I knew I was going to have to tell people that God did this. I knew in my heart and my soul, regardless of how much ego I wanted to have, that if there was a news reporter that said to me, put a mic in my face and said, how did you get through this? I could never sit there and say, oh, well, you know, I turned my cell phone off and I did this and I did that. No, that's not it. It was God. 100%. I have to be honest about it. And I can't just say it was God in a vague way where people would think like, well, it's like this being in the sky, this male figure. I had to be honest about it because that's what I saw. God as a feminine energy, God looked a certain way. I have to be honest. This is what it is. And I think it would have been insulting for me to say anything else. It would just have been insulting. Now, I can't say to everybody, what can I say to everybody? If somebody asks me, you did this, how did you do it? Who am I going to introduce them to? My God. Because that's who I know. I'm not saying God the Father was not participating. Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. But I'm saying who was walking with me every day, who was showing me things, who was telling me things before they happened, preparing me for the future, telling me what was going to happen, making sure that I got through. You want to talk about a cheat code? That's God. God is the cheat code. Because it's like literally, God will tell me the spell work that is coming. It's like before they even do the spell work, before the readers are even talking about it, God's saying to me, you know, you might want to slow down and go to the gym, or you might want to do this, or you might want to amp up your prayers, or you might want to do that, and as soon as I start, it's like, boom, there it comes. There the energy comes. People think it's the readings, but it's like I just started getting into readings on YouTube like a couple months ago. Like I spent the bulk of that on my own. I just got on YouTube, I want to say last September. What readings? What readings? Like, and these readings are collective. So they're talking about all kinds of situations. You got to depend on God. That's just really what it boils down to. I'm past 2 hours. Yeah, I'm almost at 2 hours. So I'm going to leave it here. I hope somebody gets something from it. I don't know if somebody's going to say, I watch 2 hour videos on YouTube. I might just be unique in that. I do that myself because I get such immense benefit from it. I want to leave a final word because I haven't done that in a while on my videos to people who are suffering this insane injustice. Sometimes I forget how difficult it is because I've gotten relief. I have to be honest with you guys. Sometimes I forget. And then every once in a while I remember. You know, I could be sitting somewhere, I could be in the middle of just reading something or watching a video and they say something and I'm like, oh my God, I remember when that was me. Please, it cannot last forever. That's like me saying, if you go for your driver's license test and you keep failing, you think you could fail forever? Come on now. You'll fail yourself into a win. You'll fail yourself into a win simply because now you know every wrong answer. And if that makes you the dumbest person, it doesn't matter as long as you come out with a driver's license. That's the best way you can look at it. You fail yourself into your win if that's the way it is. You continue to learn every day. That's what they're doing. Oh, they wait at the post office. Okay, you continue to maneuver your way around it. Work on your breathing and clear your energy every single day. The more you clear your energy, they're going to start wondering why you're not panicking, and never fear. Never, ever, ever fear anything. This is the number one thing you have to start. This is the first place you have to start. Do not fear. They feed off of it. The entity feeds off of the fear. You have to fear fear. And you don't need to fear if you're praying. You don't need to fear if you have a higher power. And I know it's like, but you have to remember the people gang stalking you, they're not like hardened criminals. It's like people out of the community. So logically, they can't do anything. There's no reason to fear. They're not using CIA agents. They're not using, like, Hollywood gang stalkers are not even, in my opinion, human. You should listen to, if you have time on YouTube, listen to stories that celebrities talk about being gang stalked. There's this one comedian she was talking to Roseanne Barr. Her name is Monique, and she was talking to Roseanne Barr, and she was saying that somebody came to her comedy show and they pulled their glasses down, and she said there was nothing behind the eyes, like it was hollow, it was black. And they did it just to show her. And they put the glasses on and they just sat there the whole show and watched her and intimidated her. And you know how much things Monique has gone through? She's like practically been bankrupt. She's had all these celebrities turn on her. All of these things have happened where it's like gang stalking, but the celebrity version, because she just didn't want to go along with the machine. So I promise you, you are not alone in this. In this experience, I think this gets crazier. Imagine becoming the president and being gang stalked, and you can't even come out there and tell the public about it. That's why they have to have Secret Service and all this type of protection on them. This happens to everyone at every stage of life. They have gang stalkers for the rich, the super rich, the filthy rich. They have handlers for these people, all of the above. So hopefully that makes you feel better, but you need to be cloaked in protection, and you need to have God with you during this process. I got a couple cards. I usually read spirit message cards. And they kind of talk a bit about, kind of give some encouragement. I'm going to just read the ones that I think, because I got four. I'm going to read the ones I think that people should hear. The first one is accept where you are at this moment in time. Only then can you begin to move forward. Be clear about your intentions. This makes it easier for us and the universe to help you. Doors will open unexpectedly. Be ready. Be very intentional about the fact that you want to break out of gang stalking. Be very, very, very intentional about that. Tell the universe that very clearly. I no longer want to be gang stalked. The gang stalking has stopped. I enter a normal phase of my life. I am extremely happy. Repeat it until you feel confident about it, because you need the strength to move forward. Please write it down. You know what I do? I write things down and I tape them to my wall. It's the first thing I see when I wake up. It's the first thing I see when I go to bed. You need to be very intentional, because you need to convince yourself of something. And I say you have to be delusional. That's what it is. Witchcraft is delusion. They're invoking something that is not there right now. So that's the first thing. Have more faith in yourself. Be proud of how you are navigating every curveball that life throws at you. How you deal with these times shows your true inner resilience. Nothing can break that. That that in itself is an inspiration for others. Keep shining your light. I have a video called The Hurdle Jumper. I have jumped hurdles you would not believe. I have gotten tired and then some, and then energy came. And it's like being so hungry you don't need to, you're not even hungry anymore, or wanting to use the washroom so bad that you no longer need to use it. Your body's like, well, I guess we're not using it. That's how many curveballs are going to be sent your way. You're on a harder than normal life path, which probably means that there is more reward for you than the average person. These are skills that you're taking with you, that you're learning. Like, imagine a day you're doing something that is difficult for other people, enduring something that is difficult for other people, and people are like, are you a monster? Are you a machine? And you're like, this is nothing. I've been gang stalked. This is nothing. This is peaceful for me, because that's how much pressure you're used to being under. So take the lessons from that, and move forward with it. I'm gonna actually read this one. I wasn't going to, but it says self-awareness is key. Take time today to go within and spend time with your soul. Go for a walk in nature and ground yourself. Meditate, listen to your favorite music. Whatever you enjoy most, do that today. I've made tons of videos that have talked about basically things like the importance of meditation. Listen, when I was going through it, to be honest, I probably would have seen the value in someone saying meditate and be at peace and whatever, because you are in panic mode 24/7 that sometimes your brain forgets, like, hey, I can actually have peace. I should have peace. I should relax. I should take it easy. Please don't forget that, to spend time with yourself, spend time away from worrying, spend time journaling future events, positive things that you want to happen to you. Excuse me. It is extremely essential. You don't know how many gang stalkers want to come in my page, troll. They want to do all kinds of things to stop me from giving this information, because I know, there were times where people came and they're like, there's one guy, he honestly made me feel so good, and I pray that he still sees my channel. When I came on online, he was like, oh my God, I was premiering a video and he was like, oh my God, you're always here at the right time. You're always on time. And I felt it. He didn't just say it, I felt it, what he meant. Because when I was going through it and I had a video I watched or something that I saw, I was like, oh my God, I needed this right now. It raised my vibration. It raised my hope. I needed hope every night before I went to bed. I just needed hope for tomorrow. So take this as hope. Let me tell you something. It's not that the weapons won't form. These people, it's do or die. It's life or death for them to get me in. Okay? It's not like they can return the money. They've already started all these rituals. The weapons form. But this is nothing like when I was being gangsta. I was being gangsta. We're talking about, like, you know how it is. 40 people, 40, 50 people a day. Okay? Like, more people than you can count. Any one location has a bunch of people. Cars on the road, just going one way, we're talking about 12 people. 10 to 12 to maybe even more. You don't even know. Okay? In that situation still, where we are today, there are days that they just cannot keep up with me. Most days. I spend 80-90% of my time not being gang stalked because I'm not in the same conditions that I used to be. 80-90% of my time. There are times where you see them pop up their head. They're not even laughing anymore. They're not even being intimidating. They don't have the resources. They've ran dry. They have to come into my energy. The energy is not strong. It's faint. Regardless of what's happening, it's nothing compared to the beginning of what was happening. I'm gonna teach, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about a couple of cleanses that people can, this is too long. I'm gonna talk about a couple of cleanses that you guys can do. I might even sit down and talk about a couple of attacks that come at you and different things for different attacks. It's so important to know how to keep your energy clear, how to keep yourself in balance, how to break these curses and these spells that these people put on you, this energy work. You got to get these people to a point where they have to think twice before putting work on you. Before they put work on me, they have to ask themselves, can I handle getting this back? And that's the right frame of mind that they should be in, because it's going back. It's going back. And that's the place that you want to be in your journey. Where you are right now, just accept it. You're here to learn lessons. You're not here to be afraid. You're here to see the world as it is. This is the real world that you get to see. So you're in a very small minority that gets to see what's really going on and not participate. You know that there's a world out there where people follow people covertly. You know that there are people out there that influence other people. You know that things are not what they say that it should be. And before I go, last example I'm going to give. Being gang stalked is like this. It's like 5 cats in a room chasing a laser around the floor, and you being the one cat that stops, that looks up at the person holding the laser, seeing the person moving the laser around. Everybody else is being manipulated, and you see the manipulation. There's a reason you're seeing it. You don't know your journey and you don't know where you're going. but you're not here to be afraid of the person that's holding the laser. You look at the information that you're being given, you accept where you are in your situation, and you know that whatever force guided you to see that there's a laser moving around, if you were supposed to not be alive, you wouldn't be alive. If you were supposed to be mentally ill, you would already be mentally ill. There's a reason why you're in your right mind. There's a reason why you're alive and healthy. There's a reason why you know what's going on and you're being made aware of it. So take your time with the process, and you're supposed to meet everybody that you meet, so don't fight that process. You just don't know they're getting karma, but they are. And I'm not telling you this from a fictitious place of making you feel better. I have seen the karma of people. If you go through my videos, I'm telling you, I'm people's names, people's businesses. I've because that was something I asked God for. So speak to God like a friend, speak to God like a child, and ask God just the same way you would ask your mother or your father for anything. Be specific, and don't go with the idea of like, I'm not gonna get it. Just ask and then leave it alone. God will shock you every time you see that a prayer comes through. Even me, you know how long I've been praying? You know how long I've been getting wishes granted? And do you know I'm still shocked? It's like, wow. It blows my mind. I think they like that. I genuinely feel they like my shock and my surprise. Like, god damn, like, and it empowers me. And you'd think that I would ask for bigger and better things, and I don't. I ask for smaller and smaller things because I love it. I just love the instant gratification of like getting something or getting a response to something. It's like, it's not even a tangible thing. Sometimes I would be like, I want to know if this is going to happen, or I want to see that something's happening, or I don't want this person in my energy, or whatever the case is, and God grants it. And that's where you want to get with your relationship. You do not want to just be in a relationship where, like most Christians, where they just pray for show but they don't really believe it because God hasn't shown them anything. That's because they're too dependent on showing people that they're holy. You want to be in a place with your relationship where you actually are being your the best version of yourself. And I'm the best version I can be. I come on here and I cuss and I'm mad and I'm not where I know I want to be as far as taking control of my situation, of my emotions, of my anger towards the situation, but I know that it's illogical to be gang stalked and not be angry. It's illogical. Of course I'm pissed off about it. Of course I do. Just today, I was like, listen, God owes me a lot because this is crazy. It happens. And then I backtrack and I'm like, you know what? I apologize. I shouldn't even, let me take it down. Let me humble myself. I repent for saying something like that. Let me pray about it. God understands. And there's times where I've been angry. There was like a couple days in a row I was angry. And then God showed me something and I apologized about it. And literally these cards, I pulled these cards for myself. And the card literally said, accept, it was something along the lines of what I read. It was like, accept where you are. Don't worry about it. Go to sleep tonight and start your day fresh. And I was like, wow, God has such grace. What grace? Because I was really like, for 3-4 days, I was pissed off. I was like, how am I supposed to do anything when this is... But it was a lesson. Even in that, that was a lesson that I need to trust more. I need to have more faith. I think a lot of times what turns us off from people talking to us is this person looks a little too perfect and a little too not real. I have petty days. I have days where I want to drag people verbally, all of the above. So I'm just giving back what I know. I don't really see myself as some sort of guru. I'm just giving back what I know. I'm grateful to be in the situation that I'm in, and I'm grateful that what they wanted for me didn't work. And I thank God and I leave it at that. So when I come on here, please do not, I said it the first couple videos I made, do not, please, I don't want anyone put me on a pedestal and then I disappoint, because I'm likely to. I'm in human skin just like everybody else. I am likely to. I'm likely to have days where I'm not in a high vibration. And I think it's good for people to see that you just got to work yourself back up. And if you feel like you've graduated from this situation and you found yourself in a good place, you gotta share it, because like, can you imagine other innocent people are going through this if half of the world spoke about it, maybe they would have no choice but to not deny that it's happening, because they know. I don't even defend to people in my city that it's happening. I don't even try to convince people. They're full of it. They know it was happening to me because they were doing it to me. Period. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, it's real. It was really happening. No. You know it was happening. You came to my store and you were doing it. So I get the trolls and I get whatever, and I get a bunch of people also from my city that they're my second highest viewers. So they know. They know what's going on, but it's happening to a lot of them that I told gang stalking was happening and they laughed. And now they're being gang stalked too. Now they're in the middle of a predicament as well. So it is what it is. If you have information, put it out. Thank you to the people who watched my video. This went way longer than I thought, because in the beginning I used to try to keep the videos at 30 minutes. That's was probably never going to happen. So thank you to the people who are tuning in. I know I don't always answer to everybody because I don't want to get sidetracked with everything I'm talking about. I do see your comments. I kind of read them when I can. I try to keep the chat on the laptop and then I end up never looking at it. And my phone, I can't see the bottom of the chat because of the thing it's sitting in, but please leave a comment. There's so many trolls and so many weirdos. I get nervous about who to answer, but if your heart is pure, you know, I'm sending lots of love and lots of encouragement. And if you guys have questions or suggestions on things you want to know about or whatever, drop it in the comment section. If I have answers or helpful tips or whatever with whatever it is that you're going through, I'll definitely share that as well. And have a wonderful evening. Good night.